Before you watch this movie review for Migration, I just wanted to apologize for not uploading this a lot sooner. I had plans to upload it pretty much like a few days after its release. That never happened. I want to apologize for that. But anyways, enjoy the review. What's up, people? Today I'll be doing a movie review for Migration. So once again, this is my spoiler warning, so if you have not seen the film whatsoever, I recommend you click off. But yeah, this is my spoiler warning. As usual, I'm getting into the breakdown. So there'll be initial thoughts, positives, and negatives. For positives, I'll be talking about originality attempts, character personalities, and the different messages. And for the negatives, I'm going to be comedy bits, a bit predictable, the character depth, and kind of like rush sequences. And then I'll get into my ending thoughts. So as I've seen the trailer for this film, I knew that it was going to be like quite a simplistic story. At least that was just like expected reaction that I got out of it. Not gonna lie to you guys. And just, a story just being based around, I guess, the aspect of migration to a simple manner. But it could definitely be enjoyed along with the family. So first I'll be getting to originality attempt. If there is one thing that I can think of for Illumination, it would just have to be the Minions. It's pretty clear why, as it's pretty much the more recognizable film franchise that they have made. Even a fourth one on the way, and I know that's just going to be simply another film just for a new spawn of memes. And that's one credit that I'm going to have to give Migration for. Going for at least on a more originality kind of path, as from at least the concept that it's based around. Generally, it's a nice bit of fresh air into seeing something at least more different. Next, character personality. So each character within the main family has had their own types of personality that's played out pretty decent. You have the father that isn't the most adventurous kind in a fearful manner and an over-concerning protector over his kids. The mother being the opposite in wanting adventure and being quite curious. Their son wanted to be the more brave one as the film goes on. Their daughter being, real silly / energetic and wanted to give hugs. And their uncle having a more dark humor sense and really just not caring with whatever situation is going on. Definitely get these components from each of them and seeing how they are, played out either throughout the film or more in particular scenes. It's generally all clear. Lastly, I'll talk about different messages. I like the overall messages that you see across this film. Main one being about what the movie is about and just exploring the world and seeing what it has to offer and having a new experience in a new location. Even other kinds of messages that is shown as well being having a bond alongside your family throughout the journey, as well as teamwork in helping each other during, a tense situation. Although a negative I'll say is that with the main message, it just wasn't fully fleshed out as it could have been, since it really felt only on a surface level. And for the negatives, I'll first be going into the comedy bits and being predictable. Some of the comedy I did find to have some chuckles. Examples at least being from like the darker humor from the uncle at times and the daughter due to her silly nature. But a lot of the times, the comedy felt a bit too predictable. And I guess in this case, it is probably me being a little bit too nitpicky over basically a family kind of film. I felt at least just some comedy felt way too predictable. There was just some comedies that felt like I could already tell what was going to happen even before it started. So next will be character depth. So even with the characters and having their own personality type, the depth of it was kind of a lacking factor. At least when it came to the other characters that they meet along the way. And really not having them just in general just be more fleshed out. But there is also another factor that plays in as well that I'll talk in the last point. Personally, I would have loved to see more fleshed out versions with characters like Chump and the Duck Killer, since those characters seem to be the more interesting ones in how they were portrayed. And lastly, I'll talk about rush / underwhelming sequences. With this film having an incredibly simplistic storyline, it also doesn't help either in how different sequences of the locations that they go to were handled as well. Example being at the beginning, when we see how the father being clear on not wanting to migrate after another species was migrating,
But moments after, what felt like little thought about such a decision, his mood automatically changes entirely and has a more defined, I guess, urge. It felt kind of rushed and not really showing a more potential buildup. And especially with the kind of different locations that they showed in this film, being New York City, you got the Swamp House with the duck killers, and even the Paradise Land, other ducks that they also met. I would say it just felt underwhelming in the scenes that nothing really creative or good potential opportunities to having a better exploration of the locations. And plus, it can definitely tie back along with the characters that are from those different locations and how they know about that overall atmosphere of the place. And it would have been good in just giving more detail and depth to both of those components. And just to have one last thought with the dark humor / essence at times, there could have been, or also they could have gone to more of a route with that, and so it could have been like a more playful / goofy kind of dark theme movie, but that's just a thought. So overall, this film was a nice / enjoyable movie, but it definitely was a bit lackluster. Whether it's the messages about exploring the world and family bonding along the journey, the generic story and how the characters kind of lack any sort of real depth, this will probably be a forgotten movie, at least to me. As for the rating of this film, I'll be giving Migration a 5.5 out of 10. Anyways, later. Sorry, one last little thought. Can I just say that the chef that was in this film was crazy, but man, real dedicated into just doing anything for his business. Fucking hell.